and you assert to yourself something. You assert to your form, which cannot die because it's an illusion in the first place. So you assert to your form, like I did a couple of weeks ago, 48. We're 48. And I recollected the feeling of being 48 and the strength in my form of 48 and the movability in my form. And I instantly noticed this change in the way I was holding my body and the way my body felt. And a couple of weeks went by and I did the same, brought the attention to bear. 38. 38. I am the Word made flesh. I command my form to restore, reset back to as it was at age 38.
You know, what we're talking about is a level of clear vision, or furthermore, I just put it in the same category as sensory perception. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, he is clearly amping. Now, for me, when I measure by brain waves and I'm witnessing healing, it's gamma, 40 plus hertz. Now, he was measuring his brain waves. He was getting an alpha state, which seems to be most common for most psychic mediums. They replicate this sort of brain wave.
Okay.
Let's go deep on that, my dear friend.
Okay. Well, let's start with what I have noticed, what my experience has been in this regard. I used to have really vivid eidetic intrusions of memories, internal vision of something that had just happened. I would hear it, I would see it, but I wasn't really re-experiencing it. It was just like a movie, that I was watching. Yeah. And some of it was pretty horrific, and I learned to suppress it over the years because a lot of it was pretty horrific. And then, as I noticed that I had suppressed this ability, because a guy I met kept saying, picture this and describing things, and there was nothing. I was like 22. I started playing with it. And as I started playing with it and inviting the facility to come back, I started seeing within, and I just literally imagined in a cartoonish way at first, just very simple, easy things to summon to visual simulation internally, to imagine. And but then years later, and it got much more intense. My ability to visualize things has become much more intense. So those visualizing by my will, which I hypothesize is using the occipital cortex, that you're actually using that part of your brain to do that. And there may be a little frontal cortex involved in that too, from my experience. There's also, when you're doing this, there's a tendency to project like you're looking out through your forehead at this imaginary thing, closing your eyes. You're still generally looking this way and trying to put an image in front of you, or the way I do it is all around me. That's part of my manifestational technique. Okay. That's still using frontal cortex. Something has happened to me over the years, and it has intensified lately, but I would say it first probably happened in, I'm looking for a time marker. I'd say it first probably happened in 2015.
Hold that one second. Hold that, because I want to, my laptop is almost dead. Give me 1 second, because I need the charger, or you're going to be mid-sentence and then we're going to have to reset this bad boy. Give me 1 second.
We don't want to do that. No problem.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
Back at it. Yeah, no, I
Okay.
could see it going down, and I was like, no.
That would suck very.
That would suck,
Um,
especially when all the gems are coming out and you're like really handing off
into it.
the wisdom
Into
beyond
it.
wisdom.
So about 2015, and it had happened before, but it became much more frequent. I started noticing that I have a mental model of the world around me inside my head. I never noticed it was there until I would see in the model something that was not outside with my eyes. I would see usually someone in the model present looking at me. Okay. And these visitations became very regular. At about that same time, I had the experience of I didn't turn to look to see it, but in the place of the mental model that I normally expected to find as I turned towards one of these internal apparitions, like he's telling me, I'm here underneath the overhang of the barn, and I turn in that direction, and suddenly I see a completely different world. Okay, it's a beautiful, it's an incredible paradise, but it's much more vivid than this world. And it's where my mental model used to be. Here, at least at that part of, there was like a door waiting for me to walk through it anytime I wanted. And I have seen this place over and over again, particularly as I'm falling asleep, right at the edge of theta. Now, I've been practicing lucid dreaming all my life since about age 7, when Michael started teaching me. That's my higher self, my Daemon guide. He started teaching me by coming into my nightmares, and he would tell me I was dreaming, and I would wake right up. And then the inner conversation as I lay there in between states, brainwave states, probably theta, was, you don't want to wake up entirely. And I was like, well, why not? It was a bad dream. And his response was, well, only a lucid dreamer can change the dream, but you have to stay in it to change it. And this became a recurring theme in that I had not put together with anything else. It was just a recurring theme in the way he was teaching me for years. So I did learn to stay in the dream, and it was because there was lots of fun things to do once you reached into your grab bag of powers, things that they were actually beings, I should say, there to teach me to do, like fly and walk through walls and, partially materialize and all this kind of interesting move objects with my mind, stop setting things on fire with my gaze. Apparently, for a while, that was a real problem in dreams. But these different types of vision are happening, like that feeling of seeing this portal open, okay, waiting for me there very vividly, was so much more intensely vivid than this world, that it seemed I was looking with another eye. And I'm going to hypothesize that was the pituitary, and that the new vision that has awakened in me seems to look back, not forward, or to off back and to my right. I have a lot of brain damage. Okay, I died from brain damage. Now, that said, I used to be a sleepwalker as a child, and I grew out of it. And then the horse kicked me in the face and knocked me off of the back of the mare I was astride, chasing him, and I landed on my head and died and had an NDE and etc. Since I came back from that, there has been a lot of interesting epileptiform activity. It's all occipital, parietal, and temporal. And I find this is very interesting in the way it overlaps Anthony's work, because I have so long experienced this inner conversation. All right. And I don't hear, he rarely talks with words unless he's dictating something I'm writing. channeling it, but usually speaks in concepts. And I've never heard a voice except for a couple of times when I was in grave physical peril. And he came through loud and clear. One was a run, run, and the other one was no. And that's all I've ever heard him, one could say, but it still wasn't really with the ears. It was more of an inner voice. Now, brainwave patterns. You want to talk about that, or you want to talk about lucidity?
Well, I mean,
They tie together.
Yeah, you're kind of like ushering us into this culmination of two clearly pivotal points of actualizing for anybody, and that temporal lobe epileptic potential, which is what you're referring to, and something similar to Tony's work. It tends to make sense. Now, I see things very clearly. People sort of grade their phases of awareness from the body to what they would perceive as an astral plane that then takes on all different forms, but they require a shutdown of the body. Now, you and I know that at will we can tap into this state of awareness that doesn't require us to shut the physical body down to acquire this out-of-body experience that many of the youngins are chasing right now, because they want it to be void of, they want a detachment of any sort of spiritual, religious concepts, and they want to really pursue it as something that they have the Tao-given right to do. And that makes sense, yet they're detaching a whole part of who they really are, the sentience and the empathy that comes with this human expression is being completely consumed by this obsession of leaving the body, and that you are not death doesn't exist, and this is all fantastic conceptual wise. What most of these kids do is they get out, and then it happens once or twice, but then because they have zero method, it doesn't happen again. They might hear some potential cult leader talk about hemisync and other things that have been used previously by Monroe and other explorers like Tom Campbell and things of that nature. Sure, there's a degree of cohesion that comes from this merging of both hemispheres that would lead you to believe this is the way you're going to get access to your eternal, immortal, forever self. Now, personally, as we speak, I'm operating in that space right now. I'm just floating around. Actually, at the moment, I am just taking a nice stroll through, a couple of streets in New York City and feeling the magnitude of the energy potential, because it's as vivid as I see you. And all I do is phase into that state. The whole background is void until I choose to create what I have Imperium Dominion Maestro over as the actual material that we alter. This is the tapestry that is.
I got a question for you. How are you doing that? Are you shifting your attention to visit a location? Are you shifting your attention onto a memory?
No.
Okay.
I'm shifting my attention to right now. And so the background of you and I talking is I'm walking the streets of New York City right now. That's my background. And it's palpable. It's tangible. And you can feel it. It's a visceral, somatic, kinesthetic thing. You are experiencing the convergence of that with the unified state that we're having. You're feeling a visceral effect. Our unity, our communion right now is part of the psychokinesis. But I'm experiencing it at will, and it's a full body arousal. Now, this is part of where a lot of these youngins get caught up in, I have to leave the body, I have to see my body. And that further returns back to the title of my next book, First Person, Third Person, No Person. The actualization for Ni Gong, which is what I teach people, which is internal power, comes from Ni Dan, the internal alchemy. And it's a system, it's a conditioning. None of this happenstance or a coincidence in of itself, as we know there are none. There is a process of the stress adaptation and expansion. Once you get your method of realizing that and tapping into that stream, that slipstream, you can obtain anything. And so this is
Now,
where
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. Although I've got to say, all right, I started about 10 years ago, I'm guessing. Maybe a little longer. I started closing my eyes. I've been using binaural beats for a long time because the sleepwalking came back after the brain damage from with the NDE, and so it was really bad. And so there's been a 40-year quest to get good sleep and keep me in bed while I'm sleeping. All right, because it's bad. I can get up and do things and be completely appearing lucid talking to you, and I'm not there. The lights are all on, nobody's home. Okay. Next morning, no memory. All right. So that's pretty serious. But I've had 3 sleep studies done. And what they find is that in the middle of the night, they come in to adjust something. And I'm already trying, like a cord that's come loose on their monitors. And I'm already trying to fix it. And I have a conversation with them and they fix it and they leave the room. And the EEG says, I was never awake. I was in theta the entire time. Okay. I have all the EEGs we've run. There's a whole lot of theta activity going on normally with me. All right. So I'm not at all on, plus these little brain burps, epileptiform incidences. If I'm exposed to a stimulus, light stimulus, about 18 to 20 times an hour for about 12 seconds, my brain will go, you know? Anyway, so
well, I mean, just to elaborate on what I'm saying, I'm sitting on top of the Statue of Liberty with my 3 teachers, and it's palpable. I don't have to. What happens is the energetic potential, if I describe it, it's a vivid, it's 8K of an experience that I have with my eyes open, where I am now just looking down at a 40,000 foot drop from the head of the Statue of Liberty with my teachers sitting by my side on the crown. And it's kind of cool just looking out, looking down.
Do you go in to do this, or do you go out?
No, it's everywhere. It's just on. It's like,
okay,
just the more and like, okay, I'm talking to you, but if I look around, I'm like looking down at the whole environment. It's just now. And so even though I can take it from first to third to first person, right now it is first person. And when I look to my side, I see my teacher sitting on the crown, my other teacher sitting on the crown. My other teacher is floating in front of me. And this is just how it is. And I'm Qigong is multitasking, right? So if you were to describe the physiology, my head is so heavy with juice and my eyes just feel like a glass of water or a balloon. I wouldn't describe it as a balloon filled with water, and you take it to the max, and so it saturates the cell, and you feel like your eyeballs are going to explode, and there's so much energy, and that's just part of the experience. Now, within the Dantian, which is the upper Dantian, can you hear me or no? Yes. You can hear me? The upper Dantian, we have 9 eyes, not 2, not 3, but 9. But for energetic purity, can you hear me? Are you good?
Yeah, I hear you fine. The Tozos were trying to play my music. I was trying to get them to go back to noise suppression mode.
All right. And so, that's what I'm experiencing right now. It's palpable. It's tangible. I can reach out and play with the energy.
That must be distracting. I wouldn't really. That must be distracting. I mean, I can understand.
Not really. That's what Qigong is, being able to transmit your potency at will, equally anywhere at will. Like you can you can literally, when it comes to physical healing, manifestation, magic, you are transmuting a resonance and a potency that is equal in any direction as you choose to. It's like, if I was to summarize it, it'd be like having a laptop, and on your computer screen there are 60 like icons, and you can play with those icons at will and distribute your potency, your resonance equally,
your attention,
to every application. So I love
now
this.
I have very intense experiences, but I have to cut myself off from this world in order to get into that level of vividness that you're describing.
No,
I shift my attention really completely inward, and I can monitor. Now, that's not to say places that I have been regularly in the ethereal planes, I can, while we're discussing things, I can see them in my mind space very vividly and easily. But these are places I'm acquainted with. I'm not going out any place that I haven't been, and I'm going in to get there, because there isn't. Well, because for me, there doesn't seem to be a world out there.
There's no line between these. They're all the same for me. Now, I must admit, I am like the spiritual Pac-Man. I can consume more energy than anybody and be as high as AF and have no problems doing it. And it's like another walk in another stroll in the park. Whereas most people would have a Kundalini, like awakening stroke, a psychotic episode, and their nervous system would be fried. It doesn't even come up on the menu for me. When I microdose my students, I recognize that they're not consuming or able to consume the energy at the magnitude that I do. So there's always a cautionary tale of remembrance through that conditioning, that I don't just like drop the hammer on them, because, they would not return. They would exit.
Be a little much.
Oh, and it's all, it doesn't matter what it is. I used to, back in the day, when I was a youngin', it would be a fun transmutation of, let's go and have a couple of Guinness down at the pub, the local pub, and I had this insatiable ability to consume, and everyone else would there'd be a pile of bodies, and I'm like, okay, when is anyone going to get with the program? We just got started. But it was the ability to transmute that and recirculate it. Whereas most people, they just, it's like a shock to their system, and they go down.
I have seen shades of what you're talking about. Now, the reason I've seen shades of it is because among the efforts to keep me in bed and make me sleep, a lot of chemistry has been tried.
Right.
And for years, 40 years, in fact, I cocktailed various over the night and doctor prescribed, over the counter and doctor prescribed medications in order to be able to sleep, because I get very quickly inured to any medication and I have to take more of it to work. So instead, I switched to a different medication or a different combination in order to not get where I need that more of that particular medication. So there's a lot of switching going on.
Yeah.
But the thing that I learned to do with this was to go down, to attempt to use the medication as like a dead weight that's pulling you down into dreams and unconsciousness.
Yeah.
And to stay in theta against that dead weight, which I imagined was like carrying weights, literally, and being underwater and staying just at this level of awareness where you can walk lucidly into your dream state. Okay.
And
Well,
I was just going to say that would absolutely correlate with how you stay in a theta state, where I'm operating in gamma 40 hertz and above at will. The highest I ever measured was over 400. So it's like when I witness this stuff or I'm experiencing it, that's regular programming. And I think that the other guy that I was talking about earlier that sees the holograms, he measured his brainwaves, and it's like in an alpha theta state. I think it was alpha. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I've got heads up for you guys. You can operate in gamma at will also. It's just what do you want to put in your operating system?
Exactly. Yeah. When I'm working during the day writing, I generally have binaural beats going with theta in the background because that's where it's easiest to hear the channel where Michael speaks to me and where I from where I do his work. Yeah. But then if I'm not working, if I'm done writing for the day, I put it on, interestingly, I put it in gamma binaural beats in order to pick me back up, because after I've channeled for 3 or 4 hours, I'm tired and I need to change that. I want to go to sleep. And if I don't change the brainwave frequency, that's what threatens to happen, and there's more to be done. But when you summon your resolve, for instance, when I brought myself back from the dead, nobody revived me. I just willed to get back into the body, and I got back into it the same way I got back into dreams. I turned all of my attention into the last moment I remembered from being in the venue, and then I focused my will to be back in the dream at that point, and whoosh, like a rushing wind, I was back in the dream. Well, this is summoning the all of what you are, the power of what you are. You have to be in the experience of being conscious of yourself as consciousness itself, conscious of itself, not dreaming, not the dream character, the dreamer, and aware that you can do this. And while I was dead, I became more and more aware of who I actually am, and I am a very, very powerful being. I set that aside in 1978. You set aside that awareness of who you actually factually are. Strong enough an energy to assert yourself back into the dream when your body is pretty much irretrievably down, and stand up and make it go, make it go by your will. It's definitely tapping the all of what you actually factually are.
Well, I think that a lot of people get skewed because they haven't put in, I guess I've used this word a couple of times, spiritual bypassing. They haven't put in the actual foundation of the house, making the avatar an anchor point for this experience, so that you can truly, what we call Shen Gong, which is spirit power, emanate that as a whole.
Command it.
Yeah. And so then the physical
I am
body,
the word made flesh. I am the word made flesh, and I command my form to obey.
Yes. And so you saturate through the alchemical process for a Taoist, we saturate the flesh. So it's as it's put in my book, Immortality Crystallized in the Material. This is part of what we're talking about, because you recognize. So for the metaphysics of Tao, it's as simple as this. The highest point is the primordial mother. The void animates consciousness. Consciousness animates spirit. Spirit animates energy. Energy animates the body, which would be the material state, which is a lower frequential state that is a distortion that has been materialized with your attention intention. That's what this reality is made up of from a Taoist perspective. Now, as you bring your attention intention together, the Shazam moment is your spirit is actualized, meaning you have imperium, dominion over all of this material. We can play that. Chill and I, the union we're having right now is that communion, that fortification. This is as shout out to our parapsychologist friends, the psychokinesis we're talking about. This is the substance. This is the Fajin. We can play with this at will. Now, you and I are experiencing that. We do it all day long. I'm literally still operating at the top of the Statue of Liberty, and I'm witnessing things that are not so, high moral fiber or character of a human being. And there's a lot of confusion and chaos on the ground. Specifically, I could zoom into a certain street in Manhattan where people are being, mugged or robbed or killed. This is just my point of node. If I say, give me a node point of anything, I can zoom into it like a GPS system. If I choose to, what's going on? Go straight there. Right now, I'm just chilling with my family, yourself, and my other teachers. And this is a multitasking ability, but it never taps from the physicality of this avatar. So
No.
the more you enrich the avatar with the immortality that is your true self, it becomes an immortalized, crystallized form in the material. That's how we get down with it. That's how you extend or create longevity so that you can condition yourself more now and for future reference in your next re-up.
I'm getting younger, dude.
You look amazing.
Thank you. I'm getting younger. It's and I feel healthier. I feel stronger. It's I don't know how this is happening. I don't really care, but it started to be noticeably happening. I mean, big changes where I brought to bear. You probably have a term for this. I call it the single crystalline instant. When you bring to bear all your will and attention and intention in joy and a certain, it's serious, it's the will, it's determination to feel it, and you assert to yourself something, you assert to your form, which cannot die because it's an illusion in the first place. So you assert to your form, like I did a couple of weeks ago, 48. We're 48. And I recollected the feeling of being 48 and the strength in my form of 48 and the movability in my form. And I instantly noticed this change in the way I was holding my body and the way my body felt. And a couple of weeks went by and I did the same, brought the attention to bear. 38. 38. I am the Word made flesh. I command my form to restore, reset back to as it was at age 38. I am the Word made flesh.
Yes. Yes. Yes and yes. I mean, this is we refer to this as an ancient alchemical process within the magic, the rhapsody to the remedy. And so you take an incantation and you imbue it and crystallize it, altering the material at will. That
So
is
be it I am.
And that
so be it I am.
Yes. Yes and yes.
That's how I bless my food. I am the transformation of these substances so they are completely healthy to this form, making it stronger, more resilient, and more joyous to live in. So be it, I am.
And that is what we call the Shen Gong, which is spirit power. You are taking immortality and crystallizing it in the material state. And it is actualized. And it's like, and I used to do this a lot. I transmute it. So you one of the rites of passage for a Taoist priest is you must be able to remove the alcohol from one bottle and transfer it to water, and then you have to drink the bottle that supposedly was alcohol in a couple of seconds. Take a full bottle of vodka, whatever it is, and if you haven't done it, you're going to have a shit of a time. And this is just part of transmutation. Now, I would do that a lot when I was transmuting, as a youngin', things of that nature. Furthermore, having commune at the local pub, you have a couple of beers, but then I would take the energy of the alcohol and put it into the competitor, and their drink would be 10 times the potency of myself. And so they would just go down like a bag of proverbial BS very quickly. And I mean, this is what you're doing. You're instantly actualizing and alchemizing this stuff. And that's the power of your attention and intention. Your spirit is very present. Immortality is real.
I am the will that is wholly shared.
Yeah, yeah. This is the part of the potency. And I think when people are pursuing this whole out of body stuff, and the reason I bring this up is I'm getting a lot more people that are curious about this. And this is, it's like cyclical cycles of spirituality, atheism, religion. All of this stuff is just part of the human condition. Yet they get obsessed with it and they want a fast, quick shift to change because their environment doesn't serve them well. You know,
verily.
What's that?
It sucketh verily, and so they want to escape quite naturally. And they can, and they don't have to go out of their body to do it. The inner verse is much more vast than the outer verse. And if you stop thinking that there is a world out there, you realize you don't have to pray to any deity that you already are to get it to help you get an out-of-body experience, when all you have to do is turn your attention with your will vividly inward and go.
Right, right. And I think the biggest issue for most people, if they haven't found you or me, is how do you condition yourself to that to be a reality? You know, I mean, fundamental infantile stuff that I would start people with was, you know, starting a vibratory catalyst within the body that is second to none, that you feel like you pop off like a bottle of Cristal. This is like taking a sheet of metal and wiggling it, and you feel the vibratory effect from head to toe. This is part of the respiration. Furthermore, that would lead me to my second book I just completed, Primordial Mother Crystallized. There we go. It's funny because I talk about these books because you and I are so dear to heart. We love the words that are so
lovely.
They're magical because that's true. Yeah. We conjure up with those words and imbue that into this material state. And so when I finished this book and then I finished the Primordial Mother, it's like I did 5 books in 24 hours and they were over 300 pages each. My mother sat there and went, what the? She just watched it just pour out of my mouth, just one after another. And I honestly can't even remember half of the stuff, but it when you put it and put it into and put it on a piece of paper and you actually read it back, you're like, you can't make this shit up. You just can't do it. You cannot.
No.
And I mean, your exploration as an author and all the stuff that you do is just so potent. And it's being that now moment and listening to your teachers and emanating as another iteration of self onto that paper, creating it and forming it into this material state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is nothing like being in the flow of working with Michael. It's really quite, it's not quite ecstatic, but I would say it's very, very pleasant, very wonderful flowing sensation of being. Time just disappears. And you know, I'm awed with the things he has me write. You know, I read them and I go, oh my God, that came through my fingers into the world, you know. And and it's so sweet. It's so sweet. And this is how they get you, you know. They get you because their embrace when they're working through you is so delightsome that you're happy to let them, you know, use you to get this information in the world. You're just an aperture. Yes. And the flow is so lovely that you just, okay, that's great. That's fine. No problem. Happy to get out of the way so that you can make that happen. Now, there's also a lot of other work involved, but I've got to tell you, in all the years when I was not talking to people about my relationship that had been there forever with Michael, because I, was being dissuaded and told people will just think you're mad. When I would say to Michael, Michael, I need money, and here I am disabled now. Nobody wants to hire me because of this brain condition. And he said, in one of the few times he has ever used words, no voice, just words, deliver your message and your message will deliver you. And I started doing that, and hearing him in the background, your message, the message and the messenger are one. It has come to my attention lately, is the way Michael is putting it. He's the same voice who dictated A Course in Miracles to Dr. Schuckman. He says, basically, the Christ consciousness beamed that book to her, that perspective to her, and that he and the Christ, and which is I don't know, how do you describe that? It's not a persona. It's an awareness. It's a way of perceiving. It is a mind. It is our right mind. Okay, it is our right mind. I don't mean the right side of your brain. I mean our corrected perception. That's the way to put it. The Christ consciousness. But he says Michael Spirit, and Jesus, Yeshua, and Adam are all the same basic being. Okay, it's the same spirit through time. All right. Anyway, yes, working for him is delightful, and this has been going on all my life. And the more I work with people through Michael, the better my life gets. I have many more chi rushes, much more enjoyable presence in my body. I'm feeling healthier and younger all the time. It's like he says, a second spring. And these days when we toast, it's Svanchipur to the second spring and eternal summer. In Chirnanog. And I bet you know what that is.
Yeah, poetry, the rhapsody that we refer to within Taoism, it is so infectious when you get into that transmuted state to conform and recreate what seems to be nothing more than a few fleeting words. I look at it, and I've been pursuing people on the interweb that have this ability, and it's been very few and far between. The true, in my opinion, definition of poetry, not the regurgitated nonsense that has some political agenda. I think some people refer to it as like slam poetry or some garbage that I'm just going to speak very loud and clear about, that has no honor or credence of power, but nothing more than broken words from some shallow person that is forming some agenda to manipulate your mind. And honestly, I feel like rapping is kind of like that, crapping almost, like it's like the crapping of it.
Rap used to really set me off. You got to protect your energetic field. You got to, you don't want to be around things that really set you off. Then on the other hand, if you do find something sets you off, you want to explore deeply why, until you have transmuted whatever the heck that triggering was about.
Yeah.
This is a kind of escape velocity I've been at since 2007, October 31st, 2007. He gave me another Kundalini jolt, and thrice up and down the spine. And then the last time it went to the top of my head, something shattered. There was a spray of what looked like kaleidoscopic glass shards. I have no real clue about that. It felt like my head had been slivered through, no pain, with scintillating glass shards full of light. It was, whoa. Anyway, 2007. If you are suffering, if you imagine yourself to be suffering in any way, you have fallen, you've lost your lucidity in the dream of the world. You've fallen into identification with a character that can suffer loss and die. Use it to make you lucid in the dream of the world. When you're a lucid dreamer in your own dreams, you choose various tokens that, if you see them in the dream, will make you lucid. You go, you plant that in your subconscious space. If I see this in a dream, I will become lucid. And these are tokens. He taught me that. He's been teaching me lucidity all my life, from the beginning of our relationship. In 2007, he said, do you see this? And he showed it to me backwards in time. I've been teaching you lucidity all along. I'm telling you now, anytime. I told you back then, if you imagine you're suffering, use it to wake you up lucid in the dream of the world. And now I'm telling you again, anytime you believe you're suffering, use it to make you lucid. It's your token in the dream of the world. And then he gave me a revelation regarding surrender and presence and lucidity. And it was a wonderful transformational experience. And it really wore me out for about 6 days. For some reason, some of these encounters just took me down. And he did it. He worked with me that way from about 2003 till about 2008. He was regularly hitting me with such heavy chi flows and inner experiences that they just laid me low.
Yeah, I mean, it's an integration. It's a conditioning. You just need to heads up. It's a cold world out there, but your conditioning is how you have brought yourself to this now moment. So it's now even more and more remembrance. And the more and more you do it, the more and more you become, clear that your ability to consume this material state is at ease. It's you are mastered at it, and you just need.
I'm getting there. Honestly, I've gotten to the place where I know what's going on in the world. I see it. I check every morning, and then I let it go because, one, none of it do I have any control over. Two, somebody has to maintain some coherency as a node in the matrix of what's being broadcast into the field. And I know from experience that I'm a very loud, energetic broadcaster. Yeah. I started, in fact, working with animals because of the way they responded to me when I was upset and not showing it at all outside, but birds in particular. I've seen my entire flock go to air, bouncing off the roof of the coop because I saw somebody like 200 feet away. That frightened me, and I had an adrenal rush, and that was all that had happened. And all the birds went in the coop. And I was like, wow, I did that to them. That was my chi.
Yeah.
That set them off, right?
Yeah.
So I started using animals to tell me what I was emitting. What is my field saying to animals that are receptive to this? And I found parrots were incredibly sensitive. I'd come in to interact with my birds, and they would look at me, and then they'd look at around my head and shoulders. And some days they were climbing into my arms, wanting to cuddle. And some days I was an axe murderer. Something was going on in the field that they saw, and they were like, oh, no, not today. You're not touching me, lady.
Yeah. We have the 3 treasures now. Pituitary, thalamus, and pineal. I think Tony was really big on wanting to explore the Crystal Palace because he had some kind of concept of what Taoist alchemy was. I'm like, hey, all of that was nonsense. Let's show you the real stuff, because a lot of that stuff is just dogma with a little twist to some small-minded individual that wants to manipulate the dissemination of information and furthermore distract people. But for me to be able to experience this with my eyes open, talking to you, still walking around the base of the Statue of Liberty right now, having a good old time, looking out across the bay, you have to exhibit some
That was
level of
odd.
Yeah.
That was odd. Just now when you said that,
Yeah.
I know it's not there. I saw an area in mind space that looked like it might be such a venue, but
Yeah.
Cracks in concrete, okay, slabs under the feet, and somebody was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
smelled it for a second. There was this, and anyway, that was just an impression as you were talking about it.
Well, this is what happens. You're just tuning in. You know, we hang out long enough, you're going to remember the superpowers that you have, which are endless, that you can tap into. It doesn't source from me any ticket or requirement, which most people would be consumed by a depletion of energy. I'm the Pac-Man. I consume more. If I'm in the presence of a so-called psychic vampire or Karen, their battery goes down in about 3 seconds because I just transfer the energy. What they're attempting to source from my field, I just redirect it back to me, and then they literally feel like they can't even keep their eyes open. But that's part of the mastery of transmutation. You know, and you are just tapping into what has always been your sensory perception. It's just like, I'm just showing you a different lens, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. I might want to play with that a little bit more, you know.
When I was a little kid, okay, they'd make me take a nap, and I'd be laying in bed and not wanting to take a nap, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly I would be right there at the ceiling. And then I'd go like, whoa, that's interesting. Not good. Bam, back into the body. Yeah, and so I'd lay there and I'd look at the screen of the windows, wanting to look out the window. And suddenly I'd be, boom, right here at the screen. Instantaneous. Looking at the back screen, I remember seeing my neighbor had across the alley a turkey in a small cage. And I wanted to see the turkey. And suddenly, boom, I'm standing over the turkey. Okay. I did not practice doing this. I thought there was something wrong with me. All right. I, in fact, practiced trying not to let it happen because if anything stressed me too terribly much, I was just out of there. Just, I don't have to be here.
Right.
Gone elsewhere, other parts unknown. Right. So, but to make myself have an experience, I've had many out of body experiences, particularly out of dream state. But to make myself have one when I'm conscious, no, I go inward. I start out with a visualization. Honestly, there's a 10-inch little dollhouse door hanging over my bed.
Right.
And it's a transdimensional portal.
Yeah.
I have gone out through that door so many times into the vast. Okay. My favorite experience of all, I'm going to sleep, I'm laying there in theta hanging in between, and I regularly see these eyes with flaming going around them in my room. And usually it's just one. And I'm seeing this eye about 5 months ago, I'm seeing this eye, as is not uncommon. And I say to it, come closer. And it swoops down like, okay, it's close. And I say, come closer yet. And it's huge, by the way. It's like, Jesus, it's giant now. Come closer yet. And it comes down, and I must have fallen asleep at this point because as it came down, I had the experience of falling through its iris, its pupil, into the lustrous vast. And then I had a very vivid dream experience that lasted with me lucid in it for not very long. I was gone. Right. So I don't know what to make of all of these phenomenon, but they're very interesting. And I think most of them probably are happening in theta.
Well, it's just that it's like different phases that you move through, right? For me, I'm not having to go outer or inner. I am everything. And
yeah, you're just shifting your attention.
Yeah, my everything means that it more commonly it makes sense to go from first person, third person, and no person. These are just phases of awareness, and with that, I have Imperium, dominion, maestro over everything at will, because I am very clear that I am all things and nothing at the same time, referring to
Yes.
the primordial mother as I am the animation to everything, which doesn't require my personality to operate this. It works independently. But the fact is that most people get cornholed into having to dissect these phases instead of actualizing themselves as now. And that is the conditioning part. That's where the alchemical process comes in, that I believe is second to none, because you condition yourself to be able to do this. Just like going into the gym or working out or going for a walk, you are conditioning yourself. So there's this slipstream between conscious and unconscious, which would be an autonomous process that you believe you cannot access, that has complete control over your nervous system, which you have access to. And once you condition yourself through what we call the primordial breath, which is the most sacred gateway between breathing in and out, you enter that gateway, and then you have complete, you can manipulate anything at will. That word sounds so salacious, but it is. It's like, hey, we are able to access as the animation. Remember, you are eternal, immortal, forever.
That's extreme lucidity. That's extreme lucidity. You've come to the point where you're lucid, so centered in your role as consciousness itself, conscious of itself, that you're able to make the dream unfold more the way you want.
Yes.
Okay. There's still cosmic wild cards that the all will, the bigger all, because there's always that. Okay. That will throw little curveballs at you to give you a little something to play with. I guess it's ourselves pretending we're not all of it so that we can have the fun.
Well, yeah.
Testing our hypothetical selves, our mini selves.
That's what I call this. That's what I call this is your party, and you can cry if you want to. It's
Sure.
like it always has to. It's like, oh no, I've experienced this 47 times now. It's not real. So the anti-you wants to waste your time with kicking a can around a parking lot saying, what are we doing? Moving? Really? I mean, the truth be known that once you've actualized it, the more you condition that. And I think this comes back to the true immersion that I had from being involved in bodybuilding and powerlifting as a young boy. I felt into the tactile effects of the flesh, actualizing all the lower dantians from the alchemical process, the energetic architecture that made me very much a defining force that can anchor the spirit and have at it any way, shape, or form, because I have what's necessary to hold that charge. And most people, they don't condition themselves, so they can't hold the charge. I get so many students that are, I'm Brahman, cosmic consciousness, and they hit that peak, they bypass the physical body, and then all their shit starts to fall apart. And they're like, oh, at a certain point, I was able to create this or heal that or do that. And the more and more I continue just holding that Brahman state, the more and more my diminished return becomes even more and more finite, because they're not able to hold the charge. They cannot embody it. They must be able to emanate and embody this resonance, which is, really.
Yeah. And that's something I think that, in the long run, it's occurred to me several times that this is why I have been, so the chi flow and chi resonance through my form has been so regular. I mean, people talk about getting, the skin standing up all over their body, but ever since I was a child, many times a day, I would get this sensation of, like, I don't know what to call it. It feels like electricity here around the top of my head that would descend my spine into my tailbone, out through my arms and legs, and just feel like, oh my God, that's so delightful. And people talk about it, they just get a little bit of it. They go, oh, you gave me goosebumps. No, and this is like, oh, Jesus,
Well, welcome to the club. That's what I'm experiencing right now, and I'm feeling absolutely fantastic because
Yes.
it's a part of apprehension that is conjured by whatever's left of your fear or doubt of self. And once you pass that threshold, the fearlessness is the only regular programming. And then, of course, the floodgates just open up. And so, whatever, it's like a regulatory. Like if I have a student that's,
Yes.
oh, I'm having these fleeting moments, or you're having your this is your part of your cry if you want to, right? Okay, well, get with this. You're constantly getting up against that feeling. That from that feeling is really a deconstructed feeling, emotion, and then thought. And these are the trilogy of the really substance that is created in this material state. So once you hit that feeling, you dive straight back into the mother, the void. You don't even bother with the other deconstruction of what has brought you to that point that you believe that it is emanating as some type of like experience, a simulation, because that's really just nothing more than the humanist trying to sort out what's going on. And once you get that down, so when someone's struggling, I was like, oh my goodness, my finite mind is still bringing up these scenarios where the rat in the wheel, I'm constantly going over the same experience. I feel more anxiety, fear, frustration, anger. These are all just emanations of the body state, the material state. They're just like dancing back and forth between the energy and the material, which is really spiritual baby shit, in my opinion. And so
Let's talk about that.
Well, yeah, let's hit that. So when I will get them straight into the primordial mother. And how does that work? Well, it comes down to this. They will instantly face south. They will take their two thumbs and pierce the navel, creating what would look like a ball. And they will then walk the circle, which is the sacred infinite flower, which has already been generated in the grid. Once I activate it for this purpose, the initiatory state of this recipient will be actualized immediately. So they walk the circle clockwise, and through the breath, which is a respiratory process that goes on for 9 inhales and exhales, and the final exhale on the 9th breath, you will hold and you will walk the circle. And that means you're tapping the neurological effects, plus you're tapping into the mother, and you will walk the circle without breath. And so my longest time space without breath is 18 minutes, but you're breathing from consciousness. You're not breathing from the body. Get people need to get the heads up. This is our mastered state. This is our world, and you're living in it. When you recognize that you can create and manipulate the material at will, all bets are off. But you have to actualize that. That's the saturation of the physical body with what you refer to as the qi. We call it the fa jin. It is the substance, and you will be able to, at will, regulate anything as if you are the master of your autonomic nervous system. You are operating consciously 110%. And so this breath exercise, calls out the man to the boy, the girl to the woman. You will find yourself as whether you are whole or not, because whatever's left of fear or anxiety that evokes a startle reflex within the neurology will stop. Because once you meet that and recognize that your stopping points, these nodes that you keep creating within the physiology, will dissipate, they'll disappear, and you'll recognize, I have no boundary, I have no limit. I mean, my mother has emphysema and she breathes, no problem, because there's an endless amount. I mean, if you were to physically imagine how long or how big the length of the lung itself, it's like 2 football fields. It's not something that you have to really concentrate on. I have a certain depth within this respiratory system. You got beyond the physicality into the consciousness, and that is you are the maestro to this substance. Amen to that, my dear sister.
Amen. So be it. I am. I have to say that the body will try to defeat you. The body will try to defeat you,
Right.
consciousness.
Right.
And as long as you're identified with the body, you're going to be at its beck and call. I did not fully separate from identification with the body until I was going through Lexapro withdrawals, and my body was having really regular, profound, the whole chemical cascade of anxiety attacks. Plus, I was already in chemical withdrawals, and so, not in a good way. And I think, and I didn't sleep for a week when I first started it. And I think along about day 12, I realized I did not have to participate. And that was, consciousness, do not have to participate with this anymore. So I stopped paying any attention to the body's alarm bells. I would literally, if I didn't have a project I was working on, the thing I've always been not great with is math. So I would literally put my mind on doing simple math problems until the anxiety attack just disappeared. It just disappeared within about 10 seconds because I had to focus my attention to do the math because it was challenging to me. So it required my attention, and deprived of the only source, the only fuel that anxiety has, your attention, it dies. Just like that. Anxiety is like a set of neuronal connections in your brain that are the echo in physicality of a physical event, a chemical event cascade. And that chemical event cascade is an echo of your field, your energetic state that is created by the first thing that set it off, some little, I like to call them cockroach thought, that ran through your mind saying something must be done. And the minute you turn the kitchen lights of your attention on it and said, what? It said, oh, nothing, nothing, and ran underneath the microwave. Okay. That's anxiety. It has no action items. It just comes to freak you out. When it appears, ask the cockroach thought, what must be done? If it doesn't present you an action item, it's just a symptom of anxiety. Don't give it any attention. Pretty soon, that entire neuronal pathway and chemical event cascade just dies. I haven't had an anxiety attack since November 2021. Okay? It's just gone because I know what it is. Consciousness ceased participating. That's lucidity, the dawn of lucidity. The very first thing you have to learn is what you are. And if you can learn that, everything else starts to just fall in line because your perception is corrected. And the only place you ever need healing is in your perception about what you are. You are God. How can you be less than perfect? Every imperfection that you experience in your life is a reflection of some unexamined self-talk you have that is not true and not serving you. It is some belief, lie in the middle of the word belief, L-I-E. It is some belief that is not true and not serving you. Okay? But in order to see this, you have to be able to examine the contents of your own self-talk, your mind, which you are the architect of, even though you built most of it unconsciously. That is, you stuck those beliefs into your mind without really examining them. So the process of you gave them all the power they have over you and your emotionality and your experience. You gave it to those beliefs. So now there's a process of, oh, I'm suffering. Now let's be lucid. Use suffering to make us lucid. What is it that these emotions are saying to me that are generating this unsatisfactory sensation? This is what we call the practice, and it's just lucidity in action. You are consciousness and focused as in your position of being in charge. You are your mind supervisor. You are its sovereign. The mind and the body are your tools. And until you get that straight and you think that your body, your mind, your situation, your baggage, your past, your story, your mind that attacks your peace, until you have taken back all your power from all of those things that you've been told you are and reconcentrated it as I am consciousness, and you're rock steady in that, you're going to notice slips. And that's okay, because we slip into being a little triggered. That should make us go, oh, I lost my lucidity. Again, what's going on here? What am I saying to myself? Put it into words as honestly as you can. And as well as you can, you'll know when you've got it right. And ask yourself, is that true? And is it serving me? And usually the answer is no to both. And the result is the emotion that you were feeling that was unpleasant, unsatisfactory, just loses all its momentum as the power that it was that you gave it comes back to you, because you withdraw your faith in that belief that had given it the power. So I am not this body. I know, because I raised it from the dead. I made it stand up. It was very reluctant. We had quite the argument about it. All right.
Right.
Now I know I'm not my mind. The mind. Well, some people have said, you've lost your mind. And I'm like, no, actually, I went out of my mind and I know exactly where I left it. And it wasn't serving me. And now I'm in the Christ mind. And from the Christ mind of consciousness itself, conscious of itself, I try to operate in a world in a way that I bring a better vibration to the world every day. So no matter what's going on, I'm okay with it.
I mean, that's really where people get caught up in the simulation. And
It's trying to defeat you. It's trying to defeat you.
Yeah. They need to find something that makes sense. That's why you and I, as wisdom teachers, catalysts, a node in time that will help you remember is so potent to have access to your true self from that moment, that remembrance.
Gotta have it. That's number one. Once you get that, everything changes. I mean, all of the pathology is in our self-talk. Even the body reflects the pathology of our self-talk.
Right.
Okay. So for me, lucidity is where it's at. And I think that my feeling is the second coming is the rise of lucidity globally, so that people have, first of all, recentered in what they truly are. And from there, they are able to exert sovereignty over their mind that has been attacking their peace, and cease participating in self-talk and visual content, acoustic content that is changing your field and not for the better. Your field, manipulating your field, and this is where I'm at now. It's manipulating the field. It's keeping it at the vibe I want it at, and raising it higher for spurts, okay? I don't want to, I do want to precipitate a new Kundalini experience, but I know that's likely to wear me out for a couple of days at least, right?
Well, maybe not. You've had the rite of passage that your conditioning is ready to consume more of the same and actualize the fact
I can channel more bandwidth.
Yeah, there's no limit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get all caught up in well, there's a limitation. They use this rhetoric and they regurgitate stuff where we only see 1% of the light spectrum. Enough with that nonsense, because your creation, your operating system is determined by you. And so if you say enough is enough, enough will be enough, because you're the animation of everything. You want more, you will receive more. You want more, boy. Yes, sir. May I have another? Yeah, damn straight.
You've done this a couple of times now.
I'm Oliver Twist. I want some more. Damn straight I do. And it's like where does it end? There are no limiters. The limiters are the rule set that is created by self, and that
right, your beliefs, your beliefs.
Right. Once that is set into motion, you are the animation to everything. Your eternal immortal self, forever self is the actual operating system. And when that happens, you get once, twice, 3 times a lady. You will find those moments. You'll be like, oh, I had it there. Oh, I had it. I mean, and this is where the synchronous of thought, in the sense that I'm not really putting any intention to it. I'd like to talk to blah, blah right now. And poof, oh, they're on the phone. Or, oh, I would really love to pick up, my favorite.
That's been happening a lot lately.
And it just is like, hang on, this serendipitous shit is getting out of control. It's like, hang on a second, it's just happening because you're not conditioning yourself to believe that it wouldn't happen. But then you're having these secret little love affairs with the idea that maybe I do have this potency, maybe I am who I say I am, as this all-knowing animation. And then you have these moments of clarity where it's happening. Boom, 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 boom. And it's a humanistic state that we must continue to be cynical from an introspective, analytical perspective, that would make it so that this is not enough evidence for me. Sherlock to your Watson. What evidence do you need? Oh, well, it's happened 20 times, but that's still not enough. And you can tell where you are. So when someone brings that to my attention, I'm like, start the circle walking now. Because whatever fear, whatever emotion is going to disappear when you recognize that it doesn't exist. And that point, that fringe that you get to, where you have to meet the idea that the fear and onset is met by a limitation that doesn't exist, and you move past it. Oh my goodness, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Oh, I'm still doing this and I'm not breathing. Oh, that was fun. And this is where it's like that sacrifice is now.
I was a big time free diver, so I know that state you're talking about.
Yeah.
With the breath control, where everything seems to just open up and become super clear and really protracted. The moment just like dilates.
Yes.
The times are crazy, and things that we think should never happen, or a few years ago that'll never happen, etc., etc. Morality is kind of turned upside down. There's the hypocrisy everywhere. There's so much gaslighting, and it's the perfect way for people to waken lucid in the dream of the world, because we all look for something constant in such a constant storm. We look for some constancy, some toehold of stability and consciousness. Lucidity is that, because the unmoving common denominator of all experience is the real you, consciousness itself, conscious of itself. You are the metacognitor, observing your own metacognitioning.
Yeah.
Okay. Lucidity is freedom from a whole bunch of self-talk and unnecessary emotional suffering that, if someone had not told you and trained you to believe you should be grieving deeply, you would be.
Right.
You wouldn't be, rather. You would realize, like, I've been dead now, and so I'm kind of envious of people when they pass. How come he's getting out early? Wait a minute, it's like that. But we've been conditioned to believe, and all that conditioning, those beliefs, are where all the suffering is coming from. Right. Because we think we should have these devastated responses. And it's really, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with grief. There's nothing wrong with grieving. You do it until you don't need to anymore. But if it becomes something you identify as, it becomes a major stumbling block to your development. And bringing lucidity, consciousness itself, into your own self-talk to and your emotions to determine where that is coming from will literally set you free, because the emotion, when you put it into words and it's suddenly revealed to you that it's not true and it's not serving you, when consciousness sees that, it withdraws its faith in the self-talk that was causing the suffering.
Yeah.
And the emotion just goes away, and you can literally earnestly feel the power returning to you as clarity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
calm.
And yes. I mean,
You know?
this is what I love about the Rhapsody, is you just capture this present moment and you mold it like clay in your hands. You know, for me, I just get completely, immersed in that potency, and activate a rippling effect through incantations such as the scorching sun that beams through the clouds as you kneel at the shallow grave of your discontent, opening yourself up for more sunlight as you reveal your heart throbbing, that this is your time to remember, your time to bleed, your time to be true to what is unknown. As you breathe in and breathe out, this potency will be your very honorary goodbye as you allow yourself to pour into what is seamless as the stream of your forever love. Now.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And you and I are dancing in that juice right now. It is just like,
yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
let me give you one. So, okay, Michael told me in 2008, one of the other few times he used words. If you want your words to have power, you must first cull from your speech and thoughts all the words you would not will to empower. The venue cannot change the physics so that things materialize for you in the way that they should, until you perfect your benevolence and cease sending this garbled message into the universe. Love, hate, freaked out, happy. Just you gotta get some coherence in your vibe. So years later, he gave to me, that was 2008. In 2015, he gave to me a poem that I'm gonna share with you because it's one of my favorites. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's called The Shouting Tree. Shouting Tree. With roots within my heart didst grow a tree that touched the sky, and planted in its sapphire arch the dream that never dies. There dawning in eon's afterglow, the love that filled your eyes came raining down in another world and fetched me to your side. Sad hollow the heart of the child who scaled those boughs to come to thee, and shouted to thee from their utter twigs, abandon misery. And thereby made she all she loved and loathed, by naming didst she see, and came at last thereby to know we make our own reality.
Oh my goodness, you had me at hello. It just brings in this bountiful surge, and furthermore, the crystalline effects of the night sky as it shimmers in my eye, the true essence of self, eternal, forever, never to be. And I mean that just in itself. Holy moly.
Yeah, he gave that to me just like that. Just like, I'm just, okay, I've got words coming. I have to, and they right out through the fingers, right? I hear them marching through my mind, and I'm like, people say you're a writer, and I go, no, not really, not any more than a pen could be called a writer.
Yeah.
I didn't really write that.
Yeah, I mean, everything that comes out of me is nothing more than an emanation of the mother. As you know, a dialogue with my teacher Lao-Tzu is just that monologue, and it's shown in that expression. It's like that's so potent. When it comes out, it's just fluidity, as it should be. You know, it's so.
It's an open channel and an aperture to the eternal.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's supposed to work.
You remember that? You remember that poem? Here's one from here. Let me just pick one. I don't even know what this is. Right? Let me just say, I can't even remember channeling it. The dance of the infinite. Butterflies circle, a delicate spiral around the smallest state, the most fine point, a nexus of light reaching to the heavens, piercing the stars, and entering the roots, the seat of life, deep, eternal. That life, so precious, can only be stolen by your absence. Your action and inaction form the pain, that sharp blade that breaks the heart. Yet in the breaking, it returns to sympathy, to sorrow, a tender reminder of the beauty held within nature, a mirror of the soul, fragile, fleeting. Let the beauty show. You are fragile. You are but mortal, but you are anything other than infinite.
That is
I don't even remember that, because as your incredible Daemon feeds you this most, I can't even put into words. It just steals my heart. I just open more and more with this potency. And, this stuff is like just flowing through us. And I mean, in my opinion, what you share from your Daemon, what I share from Lao-Tzu, that's what I personally consider real poetry, not some of this nonsense that comes out. But people get infatuated with this. It's pure anger and hatred that comes out, in a rapper or
why would you want to put that in your field? Why would you want to steep in a soup of that sort of electromagnetism?
No, you wouldn't.
No. Michael says, appearances have no power over me, nor have I truck with time. I am the will that is wholly shared. I am sovereign divine.
Oh, yeah. This is the side of stuff where when I wrote all these books, the Rhapsody was really overwhelming because it's part of the teaching. But at one point I had, my mother's like, my goodness, all this stuff that Lao-Tzu's giving you it's like Rumi. And I'm like, Rumi? Who the hell is Rumi? I really had no reference point to who Rumi was. And so next minute, not even like 10 minutes later, 10 minutes later, Rumi turns up. It's like, hey, let's be very clear. What you are materializing and crystallizing now doesn't even come close, doesn't even hold a candle. My stuff is infantile in its nature. I'm like, nah, what are you talking about? Then I started just like letting Lao-Tzu it was just pouring out. And I started looking back at Rumi stuff. I'm going, you're actually right. Thank you, my friend. It's like, thanks for not wasting my time.
You were right, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for not wasting my time with that stuff. Because it's just like when you're a recipient of this transmuted effect and you are emanating it into the field, what happens is, from my perspective, when I experience this, Lao-Tzu is literally capturing these words out of the material and just free flowing it. And you can't make this shit up. It's like, it is so potent. And it's like, but I would never actually be able to think of this. Like, if I had to sit here and process in my mind the idea of how would I structure this poetic stanza, it wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I mean, I could be here for days to try and do something that literally Lao-Tzu gives me in a fraction of a second and over again. Like the other book I put out, where I'm about to publish, is called Rhapsody Crystallized. And I have over 300 poems that I just literally transcribed from Lao-Tzu, one after another, like in minutes. Like, let's be clear, over 300 poems, probably like 2 hours, just one after the other. And you just can't make
Really?
this up. It's wild.
No, there's a quote that I'm looking for, and I'm having a hard time finding it because it's Michael's work. Oh, here it is. You will learn to be free, lucid,
Yeah.
to supervise your mind and be again its conscious architect. And you will learn to wield your will and focus your attention to create what is joyous and loving. All you get to choose is when you learn, which defines exactly how long you suffer.
I love that. I love it. I love it.
That's Michael. He's just like, I mean, one of the things he said to me for so long is them that when I talk about the people are suffering, he's them that cannot hear have to feel.
Yeah.
And there's a certain fatality to it. You know, the initiator is that there's all the suffering, and yes, it's terrible, but at the same time, it's almost kind of laughable because we're doing it to ourselves.
Right.
We are godlings, perfectly capable of creating paradise all around us. And this is what we're doing with our portion of the godly estate.
Right. Which is basically, you know, we're hard learners.
Slow learners, man. We're on the short bus.
We are on the short bus. We're special ed. What can I say? We are definitely special ed.
This venue is like a rubber room, okay, for people who are presently in psychotic break from their actual higher reality and attacking themselves with their utterances of vile hatred and horror in their fever dreams of separation from all that is, from which they are always completely a part of and could never be apart from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
This place is made to protect us from ourselves. As long as you're emitting a non-coherent vibration, okay, and your self-talk determines that vibration, which is how, and in manifestations, I highly recommend you develop for yourself an manifested triumph scenario where you take yourself, you design it. It's something that you're going to do after you have overcome whatever hurdle it is you're trying to overcome, or it exemplifies for you that you have already conquered all of your challenges, which are really opportunities. Okay, design this triumph scenario, put yourself in the middle of it, project it all around you, experience the emotion of it, go through. I mean, I have done this so vividly that I am literally, my body, without me thinking about it as I'm going through one of these, is doing the motions of me in the environment I'm manifesting me in. And I am taking someone's hand and feeling their hand in mine. And it's very, very vivid. And this is what I mean by manifesting. This will change the frequency of your field to be an exact match for that event that you are trying to bring into being. And thus you open the doors to the event cascades that echo that energetic frequency. Okay. You want to get into that future? That's how you choose a time stream and put yourself in it. You become more and more the embodiment of the person for whom, that version of yourself, for whom that sort of future is possible.
Yes, yes, and yes.
You manifest. Okay, so, oh no, here we go again.
We're going back into Sino.
We're good again. I've got her touch now. She just wants a very light touch, no thumping, you know, just tap, just tap. I could probably think at her and get her to switch, but I don't want to start that. There was the beginning of my true awakening. Well, my first awakening, I was in my early teens and mid-teens, late teens, actually, and horrified to find in my lucid dreams that everything that I looked at and thought, not that, was set on fire instantly, right? So I'm like having these lucid dreams where I'm trying not to look at anything lest I set it on fire with my gaze. That went on for quite a while. And then it just stopped. Thank goodness. Can you believe I set things on fire? Do I seem like that sort of person?
I believe that, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just an extension of your potency. And I mean, this conversation today has been incredible. And we are doing this regularly, as we promised with our first podcast, and this is a regular thing. And I don't think with the amount of wisdom that we both emanate, we could do this for eternity. And
many times.
Many times. And yeah, so I just want the audience to know the next installment will be sooner than later. We will keep it apprised to every couple of weeks, because there's just not enough information. I mean, the amount of wealth of wisdom that comes from you, my dear friend, is just endless. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's actually mostly Michael, I just get out of the way. But
yeah.
It's amazing to look back and see the way he built me over time, the way I would try to build me into the thing I thought I wanted to be, and he would go, no, you don't really want that or that or that or that or that. Here, let's. And he'd build a new, and I go, oh yeah, you're right. That is a much better vista. I like this, And then I'd start to try and build it the way I wanted to go. No, you don't really want that or that or that or that. Okay, here, let's try this. Take a look at this. I go, oh, that's amazing. So, he's built me to this end.
And I am your biggest fan.
Really?
I think so. Okay. I think you're incredible. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm pretty impressed with your stuff too, by the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to really work to follow. After you make me pay attention. Where is he going?
Right. Well, this is a part with the amount of depth and the amount of times that we've done this over and over again. There's so much to share for an audience that is starving for.
Well, it's when you wax lyrical,
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep waiting. Where's he going to go with this? How's he going to pull this out? You're very good. You're very good. I'm impressed.
This is the excitement that we both are ambassadors to, which is
we be ripping.
Yeah.
Spirit ripping, baby.
Yes.
Get together and rip some more.
Yes, and yes. So on that note, I'm going to put as always your social and interweb under this podcast. And
well, thank you. I would like to mention we're working on The Dream of Awakening now. We have just finished the sequel to Rise in Lucidity and Master Anxiety, which is like lucidity techniques specifically for anxiety. And the next book is Master Your Mind and Rise. And this is using those techniques to your mind in general to rise above the mistaken identifications of your mind and become its architect and supervisor and sovereign. And we're working now and expect to have out in the next 2 weeks, The Dream of Awakening.
Good. We're going to keep you to that timeline because we're going to be doing another podcast. So if we do the next podcast and you haven't completed the task at hand, my dear friend, you'll have to pay the piper.
Okay. I look forward to that. That should be fun either way. I win either way.
Time. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, my dear friend. With so much love and unconditional.
Very much love. It's so good to work with you again, San. I look forward to doing it many more times.
Exactly. There will be. This is a constant on the channel here. Our unification is part of everyone getting a heads up and remember.
Yes, indeed. That's we're part of that. We're that team I came back to be a part of.
Yes,
the wave of souls incarnate here in order to, by various different names, ring in lucidity so that people begin to take the sovereignty over what they create, take responsibility for what they're creating, the good news is it's all in your power.
Yes, it really is. And so for all the audience out there, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, my dear friend. And we're going to see you soon in a couple of weeks because this is regular programming. So we'll see you soon.
I love it. Bye-bye for now, sweetheart.